All right, welcome back. Day two of Hey Nostradamus. Yesterday we started reading. We talked about the way the book is set up. Four chapters. The first one from Cheryl's perspective. Cheryl, who's been killed in the shooting. She's 18, high school senior, and she's not alive anymore because she's been killed, but she hasn't gone to wherever she's going yet. So she's caught betwixt and between. And she's going to tell us about the shooting, about her life in general with her friends, her family, with Jason. We learned yesterday that she and Jason were married and nobody knew it. And she's pregnant. And she was just telling Jason that. Jason didn't take it so well. And they decided they'd talk later about it at lunch on that fateful day. All right, so we can pick back up there. Let's read a little bit more. All right, so yesterday we read to the bottom of page 6 if you have your book. If you're using the PDF online, you need to back up, you're not going to be in it. The PDF online, then it's probably the bottom of page 4 or so. There are 3 asterisks, and it starts off, I was on the yearbook staff. Okay, so we're going to pick up right there. This is Marin. I was on the yearbook staff, so I can be precise here. Delbrook Senior Secondary is a school of 1,106 students located about a 5-minute walk north of the Trans-Canada Highway up the algae green slope of Vancouver's North Shore. So now we know that the setting is in Vancouver, Canada. It opened in the fall of 1962, and by 1988, my senior year, its graduates numbered about 34,000. During high school, most of them were nice enough kids who'd mow lawns and babysit and get drunk on Friday nights and maybe wreck a car, smash a fist through a basement wall, not even knowing why they'd done it, only that it had to happen. Most of them grew up in rectangular post-war homes that by 1988 were called teardowns by the local real estate agents. Nice lots, nice trees and vines, nice views. As far as I could tell, Jason and I were the only married students ever to have attended Delbrook. It wasn't a neighborhood that married young. It was neither religious nor irreligious, although back in 11th grade English class, I did a tally of the 26 students therein. 5 abortions, 3 dope dealers, 2 total sluts, and 1 perpetual juvenile delinquent. I think that's what softened me up for conversion. I didn't want to inhabit that kind of moral world. Was I a snob? Was I a hypocrite? And who was I to even judge? Truth be told, I wanted everything those kids had, but I wanted it by playing the game correctly. This meant legally and religiously, and this is the part that was maybe wrong, I wanted to outsmart the world. I had, and continue to have, a nagging suspicion that I used the system simply to get what I wanted, religion included. Does that cancel out whatever goodness I might have inside me? Jason was right. Miss Priss. Math class was X's and Y's, and I felt trapped inside a repeating dream, staring at these 2 evil little letters who tormented me with their constant need to balance and be equal with each other. They should just get married and form a new letter together and put an end to all the nonsense. And then they should have kids. I thought about my own child to be as I stared out the window, turning the pages only when I heard everybody else turn theirs. I saw fleeting images of breastfeeding, prams, and difficult labor, my knowledge of motherhood being confined mostly to magazines and cartoons. Now, a pram is a baby carriage, just a British word for baby carriage. I ignored Lauren Hanley 2 rows over, who held a note in her hand that she obviously wanted me to read. Lauren was one of the few people left from my Youth Alive group who would still speak to me after rumors began spreading that Jason and I were making it. Carol Schrager passed a note my way. It was a plea from Lauren to talk during homeroom break. We did out by her locker. I know Lauren saw this meeting as being charged with drama, and my serenity must have bothered her. Everyone's talking, Cheryl. Your reputation is being tarnished. You have to do something about it. Lauren was probably the key blabber, but I was a married woman, so why should I care? I said, let people say what they want, Lauren. I take comfort in knowing that my best friends are squelching any rumors right from the start. Right? She reddened, but everyone knows your Chevette was parked at Jason's all weekend while his parents were away in the Okanagan. So? So you guys could have been doing anything in there. Not that you were, but imagine what it looked like. Truth was, Jason and I were doing everything in there that weekend, but I'll have to admit that for a moment or two I enjoyed watching Lauren squirm at my non-response. In any event, I was far too preoccupied to have any sort of conversation. I told Lauren I had to go to my homeroom and sequence some index cards for an oral presentation later that afternoon on early Canadian fur trappers, and I left. In homeroom, I sat at my desk and wrote over and over on my pale blue binder the words, God is nowhere, God is now here. God is nowhere, God is now here. Now, if you're looking at your book or on the PDF, you can see God is nowhere and God is now here are actually written exactly the same, except for nowhere is split So nowhere becomes now here. Interesting. So she loves me not. She loves me, she loves me not. God is nowhere, God is now here. When this binder with these words was found, caked in my evaporating blood, people made a big fuss about it. And when my body is shortly lowered down into the planet, these same words will be felt pinned all over the surface of my white coffin. But all I was doing was trying to clear out my head and think of nothing, to generate enough silence to make time stand still. Stillness is what I have here, now, wherever here is. I'm no longer a part of the world, and I'm still not yet a part of what follows. I think there are others from the shooting here with me, but I can't tell where. And for whatever it's worth, I'm no longer pregnant, and I have no idea what that means. Where's my baby? What happened to it? How can it just go away like that? It's quiet here, quiet like my parents' house, and quiet in the way I wanted silence when writing on my binder. The only sounds I can hear are prayers and curses. They're the only sounds with the power to cross over to where I am. I can only hear the words of these prayers and curses, not the voice of the speaker. I'd like to hear from Jason and my family, but I'm unable to sift them out. Now, these prayers that she's hearing, don't be confused. This is not Cheryl praying. Right? She's not even alive anymore. She's in between, right? Like we said. These are prayers that she can hear coming from Earth and people who are upset about the shooting. And she can't hear the voices. I like to think of it as when you can read silently and you hear that voice in your head, but it's not really a voice, but it's a voice. You can hear it, kind of. That's what I think Cheryl's talking about. Dear God, remove the blood from the souls of these young men and women. Strip their memories of human vileness. Return them to the garden and make them babes. Make them innocent. Erase their memories of today. As I'm never going to be old, I'm glad that I never lost my sense of wonder about the world, although I have a hunch it would have happened pretty soon. I love the world, its beauty and bigness as well as its smallness. The first 30 seconds of the Beatles' Lovely Rita, pigeons sitting a fist apart on the light post entering Stanley Park, huckleberries both bright orange and dusty blue the first week of June, powdered snow down the middle gondola tower of Gross Mountain by the third week of every October, grilled cheese and sandwiches and the sound of lovesick crows in the electrical lines each May. The world is a glorious place, and filled with so many unexpected moments that I'd get lumps in my throat, as though I were watching a bride walk down the aisle. Moments as eternal and full of love as the lifting of veils, the saying of vows, and the moment of the first wedded kiss. That's actually Grouse Mountain, not Gross Mountain. The lunch hour bell rang and the hallways erupted into ordered hubbub. Normally, I wouldn't have gone to the cafeteria. I was part of the out to lunch bunch, 6 girls from the Youth Alive program. We'd go down to one of the fast food places at the foot of the mountain for salad bar, fries, and ice water. Our one rule was that every lunch we had to confess a sin to the group. I always made mine up. I'd stolen a blusher from the drugstore. I'd peeked at my brother's porn stash. Nothing too big, but nothing too small either. In the end, it was simply easier to be with 5 people in a restaurant booth than the 300 in a cafeteria. I was antisocial at heart, and if people knew how dull our lunches were, they'd never have bothered to waste energy calling us stuck up. So I was surprised when I went into the cafeteria to meet Jason to find the bunch hogging one of the cafeteria's prime center tables. I asked, "So what's this all about?" Their faces seemed so young to me, unburdened, newly born. I wondered if I'd now lost what they still had, the aura of fright slightly too unripe to pick. Jamie Kirkland finally said, "My dad got smashed and took out a light post on Marine Drive last night, and Dee's Cabrillo has this funny smell in it since she loaned it to her grandmother, so we thought we'd go native today." Everyone must be flattered. I sat down, meaningful stares pinballed from face to face, but I feigned obliviousness. Lauren was the clique's designated spokeswoman. Okay, slight interruption there. Hang on, let's go back. Let me make sure I get this right. Cheryl, I think we should continue our talk from earlier. Really? Yes, really. I was trying to decide between Jell-O and fruit cocktail from the cafeteria counter. Dee cut in. Cheryl, I think you need to do some confessing to us. 5 sets of eyes drilled into me in judgment. Confess to what? Forcing them to name the deed was fun. You, said Lauren, and Jason, fornicating. I began giggling, and I could see their righteousness melting away like snow on a car's hood. And that was when I heard the first gunshot. Jason and I connected the moment we first met, albeit through some seat switching on my part in 10th grade biology class. My family had just moved into the neighborhood from across town. I knew that Jason's attraction to me would go nowhere unless I learned more about his world. He appealed to me because he was so untouched by life, but I think this attraction for someone dewy clean was unnatural for a girl as young as me. I think most girls want a guy who's seen a bit of sin, who knows just a little bit more than they do about life. Jason appeared to be heavily into Youth Alive, which added to his virginal charm. I later learned that his enthusiastic participation was an illusion, fostered by the fact that Jason's older brother Kent, 2 years ahead of us, was almost head of Alive's Western Canadian division. Jason was roped in and was dragged along in Kent's dust. Kent was like Jason minus the glow. When I was around Kent, I never felt that life was full of wonder and adventure. Kent made it sound as if our post-school lives were going to be about as exciting as temping in a motor vehicle's office. He was always into planning and preparing for the next step. Jason was certainly not into planning. I wonder how much of our relationship was a slap on Kent's face by his brother, who was tired of being scheduled into endless group activities. In any event, Pastor Field's sermons on chastity could only chill the blood in Jason's loins so long. So I began attending Youth Alive meetings 3 times a week, singing Kumbaya, bringing along salads, and standing in prayer circles. All of this, at first, just to nab Jason Clausen and his pink chamois skin. And I did, nabbing. We were an item within the group itself, and to the rest of the school, an attractive but dull couple. And not a day went by where Jason didn't ask for something more than a kiss. But I held out. I knew he was into religion just deep enough to think losing his virginity meant crossing the line. The thing was, I did discover religion during my campaign to catch Jason, and that's not something I'd expected, as there was nothing in my upbringing that predisposed me to conversion. My family paid lip service to religious convictions. They were fickle, no God being feared there. My family wasn't so much anti-God as it was pro the world. God got misplaced along the way. Are they lost? Are they damned? I don't know. I'd be mistrustful of anybody who said they were, and yet here I am in the calm dark waiting to go off into the next place. And I think it's a different place from where my family's headed. My family didn't know what to make of my conversion. It's not as if I was a problem teen who rebounded into faith. The most criminal I ever got was generic teenage girl things like prank phone calls and shoplifting. My parents seemed happy for me in a, well, at least she's not dating the entire basketball team kind of way. But when I discussed going to heaven or righteousness, they became constrained and a bit sad. My younger brother Chris came to a few Alive meetings but chose team sports instead. Truth be told, I was glad to have religion all to myself. Dear God, I'm going to stop believing in you unless you can tell me what possible good could have come from the bloodshed. I can't see any meaning of evidence or divine logic. This is another one of the prayers that she can hear while she's up there. Again, it's not Cheryl. Back to Cheryl talking. I can discuss the killings from the detachment I have from being in this new place. The world is pulling away from me, losing its capacity to hurt. Okay, so now she's going to talk about the shooting. It's going to go talk about the shooting. She'll talk about her life with Jason. She'll talk about her life with the Alivers. It's going to go in and out and become one big cohesive whole. For starters, nobody screamed. That's maybe the oddest component of the killings. All of us thought the first shots were firecrackers, part of a Halloween prank, as firecracker season starts in early October. When the popping got louder, people in the cafeteria looked to its 6 wide doors with the expectation of being slightly amused by some young kids doing a stunt. And then this kid from this 10th grade, Mark something, came tottering in, his chest red and purple from what looked like really bad makeup, and there were some nervous laughs in the room. Then he fell and his head landed the wrong way on the corner of a bench, like a bag of gym equipment. We heard some guys yelling, and 3 grade 11 students walked into the caf wearing duck hunting outfits. Military green fatigues with camouflage patterns, covered with bulging pockets of strips of ammunition, and right away one of them shot out a bank of overhead fluorescent lights. One of the suspension cables broke and a light bank fell down into a table of food, the not very popular photo club and chess club table. The second guy in sunglasses and a beret plucked out 2 grade 9 boys and 1 girl who were standing at the vending machines. These were messy shots that left a mist of blood on the ivory-colored cinder block walls. A group of maybe 10 students tried bolting for the doors, but the gun boys really, turned and showered them with buckshot or bullets, whatever it is that guns and rifles use. 2 of them got away cleanly, and I could hear their footsteps echoing down the corridor. As for the rest of us, there was no escape route. We clambered underneath the tables as if in some ancient nuclear drill from the 1960s. We'll leave off there. It's page 15 of your books, where the asterisks are if you're just reading along on the PDF. And we'll come back tomorrow for day 3, and we'll find out more about what happened in the shooting and Cheryl and all that. All right, guys, stay healthy. Love you. Please take care of yourself. Bye.